Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and iOS 26.1 Beta 3 released a few days ago, and iOS 26.0.1 has been out for a few weeks. But there's even more to talk about since the iOS 26.1 Beta 3 is out what's new video. We'll talk about the latest Apple news, some new features, as well as the overall experience. Not just my experience, but your experience based off the YouTube community poll on the post page. At the time of this video, there's over 19,000 votes and 226 comments, and I've gone over all the comments to determine what it's like for most people. So be sure to stick around toward the end of the video where I'll read some of your comments as well. Now, this past week, Apple announced new M5 MacBooks. Apple this time around, though, has decided not to include a charger in the box in the EU and UK. Initially, people thought this was due to some laws in the EU, but it turns out it's not and seems to just be a business decision by Apple. It loosely complies in a roundabout way with some of the EU laws, but it seems like something they really shouldn't be doing. They could offer it for free if someone needs it, but have decided to charge for it at this point. It made a little bit more sense with the iPhone since many people had chargers, but with a MacBook, many people don't have the latest chargers and they'll have to buy it anyway. So that's an odd move from Apple and something I think a lot of people will criticize. So hopefully they don't do that elsewhere, but right now it's only in the UK and EU. Apple TV Plus rebranded this past week to just Apple TV. Now, it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense if you're watching Apple TV on an Apple TV, and maybe this is because they may be releasing a new Apple TV in the coming week or so. It's possible we could see a new home device, maybe there's a name change we don't know about, but for now, you're going to be watching Apple TV on an Apple TV, so it's something that maybe will make sense in a week or two. Apple also announced a new bundle for Apple TV with Apple TV and Peacock. There's a new bundle that could save you up to 35% off if you want to subscribe to both at once, and it's available now. So you can see it here, where you've got How to Train Your Dragon. You can watch different movies such as F1 and have them all together in one place. So that's something they announced. And Apple finally did it after a long set of rumors that they're the new exclusive partner for F1. So they'll be broadcasting in the United States, and they're exclusive for 5 years. They've long been rumored for some time trying to get their hands on the rights to this, and now they have those exclusive rights. So all F1 races in the United States will be broadcast on Apple TV starting next year. So that's something you can read here in the Apple Newsroom press release. I'll link it in the description below as well. This is something I look forward to. It's one of the few sports I'm interested in and definitely will watch some of this, and it's great to have it more easily accessible for me directly through here. However, if you want to access it through F1's app and their own website, you can do that as well still. This past week, Steve Jobs is now being featured on the $1 American Innovation Coin starting in 2026. You can see it here for California, and it will be available through the U.S. Mint. So they're the ones that make currency in the United States, and they're making an official $1 coin with Steve Jobs on it. So I'll have to try and get my hands on one of those as soon as they're available. Now, if you're having issues with iMessage activating on a new iPhone, you're not alone. I mentioned this a little bit before, but Apple has since updated a document with even more information on October 15th. So it says if you can't turn on or sign into iMessage or FaceTime on your iPhone, and it goes through different steps you may want to try. I was having the same issue on this phone here, the 17 Pro Max in dark blue, and it's one of those things where I had to actually turn off iMessage, turn off FaceTime, reboot, then turn them on, and then it worked. But there's some other steps here as well, and if you need those, I'll link them in the description so you can try them out and hopefully it fixes your issue. But it seems to be fairly common, and again, they updated it on October 15th, and it's a more recent issue on the latest phones. Now, the new hypertension notifications for blood pressure on Apple Watch actually gave me a notification the other day. So it's something I need to take seriously, but I wanted to show you what it looks like. So I took a screenshot of it, and this is what it looks like. It says patterns related to hypertension have been identified in the last 30 days of your heart data. So I don't even use the Apple Watch 100% of the time. Many times it's sitting on the charger throughout the day, but then I'll put it on, occasionally use it casually, but I'll probably use it a lot more now. So you'll see it says patterns related to hypertension have been identified, more details, and then you can go in here and take next steps. So it says take your blood pressure with a cuff for 7 days, get information, set up a blood pressure log, and then of course contact your health provider. So these are the next steps, and just something I wanted to share with you as far as what it looks like. Of course, I'll be working on bringing that down along with getting a little bit more healthy, but I just wanted to share that with you and show you what it looked like there. Now, as far as new features in iOS 26.1 Beta 3, well, that's on this phone, and one thing that seems to be changed again is the control center is even more bouncy. So it was bouncy before. This is 26.0.1 here on the right. You'll see they both are bouncy, and I turned down the brightness there we go, but they're both bouncy. But now you'll see 26.1 Beta 3 is very bouncy, so you can see that here as we swipe through, and it's definitely a lot different, and I think it looks great. I like the more playful bouncy look of iOS 26. Now also the clock has a clever update. You'll see here, now this could have been here a while ago, but you'll see how the watch hand is actually, or the second hand is just sweeping. If I turn on low power mode, it will then switch to sort of a mechanical style tick. So let's go ahead and do that. Turn on low power mode. It's on now, and now you can see that the second hand is ticking. So it's ticking here. Again, I'll turn it back off. Turn off low power mode. And watch here. And you'll see it started to sweep the second hand again. So that's a nice little touch. When you have lower power, you go to a more mechanical style watch or second hand, and it's just a clever move and something I really like about Apple when they do things like that. It makes it a little bit nicer. Now, when we go into settings, if we scroll down and we go to that new setting that I showed you before under privacy and security, scroll to the bottom with background security improvements, the installed update here that shows up, if you try and remove and restart this, it seems like it doesn't do anything. Hopefully it's a move in the right direction to help us easily uninstall updates, but right now if you tap remove and restart, you'll still be on beta 3. So it's not really doing anything, but it may be a start to something new. Hopefully they'll have that available maybe in beta 4. We'll have to wait and see. If we go into the App Store, Apple recently updated their Apple Invites app. You'll see it says new festive event backgrounds help set the vibe for your end-of-year gatherings. And this update contains bug fixes and performance improvements. Now again, I would really like to see them update this and tell us what they've fixed, but at least it's updated. Now they discontinued the Clips app. I mentioned that in a previous video, so maybe they're focusing more on this, and maybe we have another app soon. They still haven't updated Pixelmator yet, though, for macOS, so we'll have to wait and see what they do with that. Now, WhatsApp is having a spam growth issue, and to help with that, Meta will soon start testing limitations on many people messaging others that haven't responded. So, for example, if someone tries to message you over and over, according to a reply from Meta to TechCrunch here, it says WhatsApp will curb the number of messages people and businesses can send without a response. So maybe a business is spamming you with a bunch of messages or someone else, and you don't respond, they won't be able to reply or spam you again. So this is something that could work great or may not, but it's just a test at this point, and it's not for every single person. Now, also this week, we didn't have an Apple event, but we did have new products released. We had the MacBook Pro 14-inch with the M5, iPad Pro M5, as well as Vision Pro with an M5. So those things are all available for pre-order now, and they launch next Friday. One odd thing, though, to me, is that they only launched the regular MacBook Pro 14-inch M5, no M5 Pro or M5 Max. So we'll probably see those sometime next year. Maybe we'll see more products coming very soon. Hopefully a new Apple TV and HomePod. There's also rumors of new displays, but that may not be until next year. Now, iPhone 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max seem to be the best-selling iPhones this year, and that's not really a surprise at all. However, there's some mixed news about the iPhone Air. A new post by The Elect says that Apple has cut production of the iPhone Air due to underwhelming sales in the United States. However, iPhone Air just went for sale in China and sold out almost instantly. So it looks like it's a high-demand phone, but it depends where you live. Now, maybe it is in the United States. If it's doing better than the 16 Plus, that's great news. It's something I really like, and I may use it full-time, but it's something that not everyone will like because of its lack of cameras and battery. But it is a great phone either way with that display, and it does feel like something new. So it's not really a surprise to see it sell out in some areas, but I'm curious what you think of iPhone Air. As far as other releases this week, well, we got a new Safari technology preview. This one was available on October 15th. It's version 2.30, and it's available for macOS Tahoe and macOS Sequoia. So if you want to check out the latest technologies, you can do that here. Also, Apple stopped signing iOS 26. We talked about this before, but it looks like iOS 26.0.2 is coming very soon. According to Mac Rumors, they show it in their analytics, and it could be coming as soon as early next week, or at least sometime next week, according to them. So that's what I would expect. Maybe we'll see it on Monday, with maybe iOS 26.1 Beta 4 on Tuesday. Of course, we don't know when Apple's going to release iOS 26.1 RC at this point, but the public release is probably a few betas out or a few weeks out, maybe early November. It's possible it's late October, but I would say early November or so for iOS 26.1. But again, we don't know 100%, but last year they released around this time, but that's because they were trying to get out Apple Intelligence. So at this point, we don't really know the actual release schedule for that, but I would at least expect a beta this coming week and iOS 26.0.2. Now, one thing I did want to mention is there was another new release. There was an AirPods update. So there was an AirPods Pro 3 update, AirPods Pro 2, and AirPods 4 update, but this time it's for public beta testers. So just like last time we had a beta, we again have a public beta this time around. So far, there's nothing that appears to be new, but it could be in preparation for the new translation languages in iOS 26.1. So we don't really know 100%, but since I've been using the current public release, connectivity issues have gone away, and it's been pretty great overall. You'll see it connects nice and fast. It works really well, and if I want to turn on the beta, we'll scroll down here. We should be able to use the public beta as well. So if you want to do that, you can. However, I would caution against it unless you want to try something else out. You'll see it says translation is in beta, but again, if you want to try it out, you can. But at this point, if it's working well for you, I would probably just hold off and use the current public release of the AirPods update. Now, when it comes to the iOS 26.0.1 experience, well, I've been using it full time for about a week at this point. On this 17 Pro Max, I've been using it, and there's definitely some odd issues. Some people are having delayed Face ID issues. I haven't experienced that. It seems to be pretty fast overall. No real issues there, but on older phones, sometimes people are having issues with that. Some people are having no sounds for notifications after installing the update, and there's actually a forum post about this, and you'll see it here. No notification sounds after new iOS 26 update on my iPhone. I'm seeing quite a few people say this, and if we restart or refresh this rather, scroll down, you'll see there's quite a few people talking about it. So there's a couple pages worth of people noticing it, having that issue, and there was a little stutter there you may have noticed as well when I closed the app. So there's definitely some odd issues here. I noticed today when I unlocked my phone, I had clear icons sort of not show up, then they filled in with color. So that's something I didn't have set, but I've noticed some odd drawing of the icons on the iPhone with this update. So using the public version actually has been worse than the beta version. So definitely some odd issues, lots of lag and stutter, battery life is still a big complaint, and CarPlay disconnects are still a complaint. It's been good for me as far as CarPlay, occasional disconnects right when I first connect, but then it reconnects on its own and it's not a problem after that. But lots of visual bugs, and many say it's smooth, but mostly on the new phones. Now, when it comes to iOS 26.1 Beta 3, the good news is many people are saying there's a significant increase in stability, including older devices as well. iPhone 12, 13, 15, the latest iPhones, many people are commenting saying it's much, much better. It's a major improvement all around. The number one complaint is lag in the app library. I showed this in one of my videos. Tap in here, there's lag. Again, tap into search, and there's an odd 1 to 2 second lag. So about 1 second lag or so. But either way, there's a second lag that shouldn't be there. It's very odd, and the scrolling and everything else is fine, but the odd lags specifically in the app library are still an issue. Also, there's some stuttering and UI glitches, and one of the worst bugs is people saying CarPlay is not working at all. Now, thankfully, I haven't experienced that on the beta, but there have been quite a few people mentioning it. I'm not sure what specific cars they're on, but they seem to be fairly consistent as far as people saying, hey, this isn't working, I can't even get it to connect. So I'm seeing lots of people say that. There's also that odd wallpaper bug, so if we go in here, scroll up, you'll see, let me get rid of these notifications. Sometimes it changes. You'll see it dims a little bit there or desaturates, and that's something I would like to see go away. I thought it was fixed with early versions of iOS 26, but now it's returned. When it comes to performance, well, iOS 26.0.1, I talked about the lag here and there just a little bit already, and 26.1 Beta 3 seems to be generally pretty good. So again, very smooth overall with the occasional lag when it comes to the app library, and that's something even after restarting a couple times is still there for me, so it's persistent. But other than that, it seems to be generally pretty good. Apps are opening quickly, things are generally smooth. That's not a touch bug, I just didn't hit it right. And overall seems to be a good experience, even on older devices as well. Heat and thermals is generally pretty good. This phone is not warm at all. In fact, it's cool to the touch, as is the other one. So let's go ahead and take a look. We're using the exact same phones, same storage as well. They're both 512 gig variants. Let's take a look at the overall heat and see if they're any different. But let's first run benchmarks so we can get them heated up just a little bit and see how they're handling it, if they're any different at all. So we'll go ahead and run benchmarks. Again, when it's about halfway through, we'll take a look at the overall thermals. Now, both of these are iPhone 17 Pro Maxes, and on the right we have iOS 26.0.1. They're running the same test, and at the same point here, or the hottest point, we're at about 34.5 degrees Celsius. On iOS 26.1 Beta 3, we're at about 33.5 degrees Celsius, so right around 1 degree cooler. So good signs overall for the beta. Maybe they've improved the overall heat or the overall processing speeds and really managed things a little bit better. Benchmarks completed, and you'll see I just finished running this. They completed at 3,785 for single core on the public version of iOS 26.0.1 and 9,231 for multi-core. That's compared to 3,856 for single core and 9,819. So definitely a little bit better on the beta. And if we take a look at the history, it was not too much better a little bit earlier on. So we can see this vary up and down, but it's well within the margin of error. But I would like to see an improvement. I've seen some people over 10,000, so the beta is looking like it's going in the right direction for me since they're set up identical in every way. Now, if you're wondering if you should install iOS 26.1 Beta 3, well, that really depends on if you're on Beta 2 or not. If you're not, I would say skip it for now. Wait for at least Beta 4 or the RC to release. We're expecting iOS 26.0.2 as soon as this week, like I mentioned before, so hopefully that will resolve any issues you have. But I typically say never try and update to a beta just to fix issues that you're having, as they typically will have additional issues. When it comes to battery life, iOS 18.7 is something many people seem to be happy with. I'm not running it myself, but all the reports in the YouTube community poll comments say that it's phenomenal, that overall stability is great, and they're not looking to upgrade to iOS 26 until it's much more stable. Now, if you've upgraded to iOS 26, I'm using 26.0.1, or I did for the past week or so. You'll see battery health on this phone is 6 cycles with 100% capacity. If we take a look at battery usage, we'll take a look at today. We're at 62% usage. Now, the odd thing is I was just looking at this and it said 65%. I think there's an issue with this, but it says 62%, 3 hours and 52 minutes of screen active time, 5 hours and 16 minutes of screen idle time. If we go back to the day before, 4 hours and 21 minutes. So it looks like it's been improving a little bit if you look here, but it seems like it's improving for me. But iOS 26.1 Beta 3 is a big improvement for many people. If we take a look at this phone, you'll see just today it's used 10% of the battery with only 48 minutes of screen active time. However, if we bring this out, that's almost 10 hours of screen on time. So in general, it seems like it's pretty good. 19% in an hour and 35 minutes before. It looks like it's improving. Again, I'm not using it full time. I'm about to switch over to it. Of course, 26.0.2 as well. So I'll be testing all of these out. Let me know your experience, though, in the comments below. Now, when it comes to what you had to say about the overall experience, let's take a look at some of your comments. Chris Parmer, 4983 said, I've been using iOS 26.0.1 on my iPhone 17 Pro. Battery life has been great. The standby battery drain has been superb as well. I easily get all-day battery life with moderate use. Overall performance has been smooth and snappy. No major glitches that come to mind. Hacked0813 said, I own an iPhone 16 running iOS 26.0.1. It's stable, fast, and excellent battery life with adaptive power. However, I experienced maybe some slight lag when adaptive power is enabled, but I generally don't notice a significant difference. On Sunday, at approximately 233 cycles, my battery health dropped to 99%. This version was pretty good so far. I'm waiting until iOS 26.1 RC. Ebro NYC said, iOS 26.1 Beta 3 on my iPhone Air works just fine. Manol Nito YT4ZB says, currently on iOS 26.1 Beta 3, and it's the best so far. Many bugs are fixed, and performance is significantly better than all iOS 26 versions, and even better than my record with iOS 18. I scored around 7,200 in Geekbench 6 with my iPhone 15 Pro. iOS 26 brought it down to 6700, but now I'm on 7600, much better. Battery is okay, but iOS 18 was better. Liam Dowhauer, W7i, said, I'm on iOS 26.1 Public Beta 3. It's pretty smooth on my iPhone 16 Pro Max. I haven't had a single issue other than when I turn off my phone, always on display wouldn't turn off for a second, and then it would turn back on again. Battery life has been good overall. I don't usually need the charge during the day. I don't regret updating. Jeff V2777 said iPhone 17 Pro iOS 26.1 Beta 3. Notice that from time to time in Mail, touch response is ignored on the top of the screen until I refresh the list. Not consistent, but it's happened more than once. NASCAR 14 Junkie said, I'm on iOS 26.1 Beta 3. My main issue is the big dark blurry shadows behind my icons and folders. It's also on my 13-inch iPad Pro, which is also on 26.1 Beta 3. Biggie Marvs says, the cellular problems on the 17 Pros has definitely been fixed from the iOS 26 release. Haven't noticed any real bugs since. Derek Matthews, S1L, said, I'm on Beta 3, issues are screen lagging and CarPlay not connecting. I thought we'd compare storage on the same device, but running iOS 26.0.1 compared to 26.1 Beta 3. Let's go into Settings, we'll go down to General and then iPhone Storage. Scroll to the bottom, and you can see that on the left, iOS 26.0.1 is taking up 23.95 gigabytes, compared to 20.71 gigabytes on iOS 26.1 Beta 3. So it's using less storage overall, maybe they're refining code overall. Apple Intelligence is 10 gigabytes on the public version for me for some reason. So it looks like things are about what you would expect. System data goes up and down as needed, so I don't really pay attention to that. Unless it's using so much storage that you can't install an app, it's really something you can just ignore. Now, iOS 18.7 is still the standard for stability at this point with great battery life. Many users are hesitant to upgrade as it's just been great overall. If you care most about battery life and overall stability and you're on an iPhone 16 Pro or older, well, you can stay on that if you're already on iOS 18. However, unfortunately, there's no way to downgrade if you're already on iOS 26. I really wish Apple would give the option for those that started with that version to have a way to downgrade easily, but maybe we'll see that in the future, but at this point, it doesn't seem likely. iOS 26.0.1, though, needs major improvement. Initially, it was a much better experience than iOS 26, but now has widespread reports of lag, stuttering, sluggishness across the UI, and iOS 26.0.1 is widely criticized for being one of the buggiest versions ever with rampant issues across the system. Now, I would say it's okay, but it's still not great. It was very good to begin with compared to iOS 26, but maybe that's just how bad it was initially. Now, iOS 26.1 Beta 3 is the crucial course correction. It seems like it's getting much better, and it's generally seen as a improvement or a massive improvement over the initial public release. While it's not achieved perfect stability, users report a significant performance boost, noting the animations are smoother and the experience is generally much better to very stable. So that's great news. It's getting much better. We're almost there for a public release, but first we'll have 26.0.2, it seems. And so that's everything for iOS 26.1 Beta 3. I'm looking forward to Beta 4 and hopefully iOS 26.0.2. Let me know your experience in the comments below, and of course I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.